Speaking of football, one thing that as I was doing random thoughts a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, we haven't really, you and I hadn't even really talked about it. Uh, and it was what's going to happen with the blue white game. And remember, last year, like this was a thing. Like, did James Franklin really want a blue white game? And when I went to look to see what Matt Campbell does, it appears I haven't been able to confirm this. Weirdly, the Iowa State didn't have one. It appears that Matt Campbell is not a fan of it. Now, we did get some reporting this week from, I believe it was Josh Moyer of the Center Daily Times, all about it. Basically, he reached out and said that to Penn State, and they said that they will have some type of event around football in the spring, and they will announce it eventually. Do we know when it might be? No. Do we know what it might be? No. Do you feel like fans need a blue-white game? One. And two, do you feel like the community needs a blue-white game? Two. Especially with what's coming in 2 weeks at Beaver Stadium.
The answer, yes and yes. Fans need it because it is the community. It is the endure and enjoy thing we talk about all the time. We are, I am sure, not alone in having had daughters' birthdays at Blue White. Like the kids got their birthdays pushed off a couple of weeks so we could celebrate at Blue White because that's when people were coming in. And I'm sure we're not alone in doing family celebrations or meeting friends and family. And you have a new coach and all kinds of new things. The fans need that. The fans need an opportunity to meet the coach, to see the team, to do something. And the community definitely needs it. The community expects to have some hotel rooms full, expects some restaurants to have business. And all credit to James Franklin. He understood that always. I mean, they went through 6 different iterations or whatever it was of blue-white games in his tenure, or maybe OB's tenure before that, of moderated scoring and getting the media out there to catch punts and the running clock in the second half. I don't think anybody expects what we had as undergrads when it was a full-fledged football game. I mean, for the most part. But I do think both the campus, both town and gown campus and community, expect a football-centric event weekend to include some sort of organized football activity in the stadium and some other stuff that feels like goodwill. And I would even I, like, who's always banging on charity and doing something, it's great that Penn State has made it free through the years. I understand that's a challenge. But I think with all the money that exists there, they've got to have a time and way to get concession sales or parking or whatever it is they make money off of and still keep the line on prices, free access for something for young families, which it was through the years. So, sorry, that rambled. Yes and yes to both questions.
That was about where I was at with it. I just wanted to cement that feeling. I think I would be disappointed if Penn State didn't have a blue-white game or a blue-white event. I've been anxious because I think I wrote this. My conspiracy theory, if you want to call it that, was Penn State picked this weekend for the upcoming weekend for the hockey game because it was basically effectively 2 weeks after the college football national title. Pat Kraft thought Penn State was going to win one, and it was going to be a parade to Beaver Stadium, and we're going to go watch Penn State play hockey. Like, I really thought that. I have been anxious this whole offseason that was not going to happen, or this event, which is going to draw, I think the latest number I've heard and seen is 65,000 tickets. You know, that's close to a blue-white weekend in terms of in-stadium attendance. Now, I think outside the stadium, especially when you're charging $100 for parking, which is absolutely ridiculous. We'll get to that next week. That, like, I think outside the stadium, you're not going to have the high numbers, right? But I think ultimately, I was really anxious that this was going to be blue-white weekend, that we were going to do away with it. I don't know that I need to see X's and O's, but I want to see a flag football event. I want to see something football-related on the field at Beaver Stadium that gets people inside the stadium and gets, to your point, it's the 8th football weekend every year. I mean, the businesses in State College depend on that in the spring. Thon weekend pulls a lot of people in, but I think more people come to town for blue-white weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And I hadn't thought about it. Financially, the hockey outdoor game is going to have an income windfall perhaps bigger on paper than blue-white because you're charging admission and you got parking. But the expenses are going to be pretty high too, because you had to bring the company in to do it. You've got to have labor to work the game, and it's not, and you got to get the Zamboni's over there. You got to bring in lights, extra lights for what they're doing, which is why you got afternoon games, I guess, instead of night games, is because they didn't want to have some additional lighting down by the rink. So I hadn't thought about that, like this being able to financially sort of help replicate blue-white. But after what you've gone through with not a good season, a faltering coaching search, you need to have a goodwill event, no matter what it costs you. And I don't think they're going to lose money on it. You need to do something football specific, and that's something the AD has a discussion with the coach. Says, hey, nobody cares if the second half is running clock. Nobody cares if it's flag football. Nobody cares if it's 7-on-7. Do 7-on-7. Give it an excuse. Yeah. Or do some drills and do something else. But they've got, do an autograph session, do kicker and punter skills challenges. If can they drop it in a hula hoop from 50 yards with their punt? Someone come up with something. I think people do expect that.
Right.
And it would be a mistake not to provide something like that.
Well, and to be clear, it seems like, I'm just projecting here, but it seems like the reason why Matt Campbell did not like them, it was similar to the Matt Rule logic of it's not that I'm putting plays on film, because anybody can go back and watch plays from last year. I'm putting guys that were second or third on the roster in terms of depth now first, and now there's the spring portal. There is no spring portal anymore, so that eliminates the concern. And at that point, I can't find a reason not to have a blue-white game.
And you're at a different place. At Iowa State, you're at a place where you lose players. At Penn State, you're at a place where you sign players.
Right.
I mean, it's just a different mentality. And if it's not, then they're doing it wrong. And I'm pretty sure they're spending $30 or $40 million on football players, so they're not doing it wrong.
Right. No,